or of individuals, so new hires start together. That the reason we do this is because while as an associate, we are emphasizing on you developing bonds with your fellow colleagues throughout the first 10 weeks of your start here. Hopefully, those bonds and those connections that you've created in that first 10 weeks continue even after placement. So here you'll gain hands-on experience, networking opportunities, as well as mentoring opportunities, and be prepared to become a client-facing associate. It is based on our convening with purpose policy, which is our hybrid schedule. So as Vanessa mentioned, with the internships, we are in the office 3 days out of the week with the ability to work from home the remaining 2 days, so Monday and Friday. And then we're in the office Tuesday through Thursday. So you can really get to know the other associates that you are in the cohort with, make friends, and have people that you can lean on when it comes to asking questions and having lunch with, and really immerse yourself into the work culture of Groupm. There are also networking activities such as group events and executive speakers, job shadowing, self-paced e-learning curriculum, and much more. Hopefully that's provided a little overview on Launchpad, and Kyle will dive in a little bit deeper.
Good deal. And then to go up a little bit more about what Oyen was mentioning to us, Launchpad associates benefit by receiving world-class training from some of Group M's top executives across all of our practice areas. Associates that go through Launchpad will have increase their media knowledge, develop their business skills, and that will help them thrive in their professional career and also make for a very smooth onboarding process. And then a little bit more about Launchpad. The program is broken down into a 10-week schedule with the first 3 weeks consisting of onboarding and training and development. So your first week in Launchpad is really going to focus on onboarding. Your second week is going to focus on building out your media and marketing foundations. So that's learning about all of our practice areas as it relates to media planning, paid search, paid social, programmatics, and some investments, whether that's digital or traditional investments. Week 3 is also going to be very crucial as you're going to learn how we operate and increase your skills working inside of like Microsoft Excel, Microsoft PowerPoint, and also using Microsoft Word as well. Really going to help you out also with time management in that third week. Starting in the fourth week, you're actually going to be assigned to the client team that you are going to work on and the practice area. So I know we mentioned some of our clients earlier, but you might, find yourself working with a client like Google or Coke or IBM or Unilever. So you will spend 80% of your time on the client team, and then the other 20% of your time is going to be spent learning more and specializing in your training area. After the 10-week program is concluded, I want to be clear that you stay with Group M. You have a role here at the company. It is not just a 10-week program. This is really just, kind of where you start in your career at Group M.
Thanks, Kyle. And just don't take it from us. Here are some key takeaways from surveys that we have taken from our previous cohort. Just to go over a few, but 100% of associates from our last cohort said that they had an increased understanding of media as well as a background understanding of Groupm. Also, all felt that they were more prepared in working with Excel and PowerPoint, which is something that you'll be using quite a bit in your day-to-day as an associate. In general, associates felt more prepared and connected as opposed to starting individually without this training.
Perfect. So now we're going to go into some of our disciplines in terms of practice areas. And when I'm going over this, think about, you and your career, which practice area you think you might align with best. Because as we're going through the recruitment process and the phone screens, we're going to ask you if you have a specific practice area in mind that stands out to you. But first, I'll start with media planning. This role is half creative and half analytical. It'll help you figure out how we should bring the client's ideas to life. Earlier we mentioned that if an advertisement is great, but if nobody ever sees it, then that advertisement really isn't going to be able to see great results. So you're going to help bring the ideas to life, and you're also going to play a big part in determining, how much ad spend our clients should put behind it when you're looking at their budget for their campaigns. Digital investment is very similar to being a media planner. They work together constantly. Digital investment teams work with our vendors closely to help bring our campaigns to life. This is very cool because you'll be working with huge companies like Google, Meta, Instagram, TikTok, and other, publishing companies. Also, with working in digital investment, you have an opportunity to go to some really cool events where you're able to network with our vendors who I just mentioned. Moving into programmatic, if you love analytics, this is definitely going to be the role for you. Very heavy in working with Excel and numbers. You actually buy media space at real times in auctions. If you're somebody who's interested in artificial intelligence and learning more about AI, you probably will have a chance to, incorporate that in a programmatic role compared to another role like investments or planning. Um, Paid search, don't know how much really needs to be mentioned here, but they're paid advertisements. We pay a charge to platforms like, Google and Microsoft, with Bing as their search engines to try and have our, companies, our clients' websites rank higher. You might also see some of this, if you're looking at Google, where it says like this is a sponsored page, we have paid for our client to rank higher. Paid social, I know this is a pretty popular one out there. Do want to make sure, I cover when you're working in paid social, this is not a creative role where you might be creating like content or doing like posts on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. This is more of using analytics in terms of like buying ad space on those social platforms like Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or TikTok.
Awesome. So our data analytics team create reports by collecting and analyzing data so that way we can present our findings to our clients. Our buy enablement team work with our internal teams to support clients and bring their newest media campaigns to market. Ad operations heavily focuses on the rotation, scheduling, and overall implementation of advertisement that you see online, whether you're scrolling or browsing. Our video investment teams are responsible for negotiating on behalf of our clients when it comes to the spaces of both television and digital advertisements. These teams work hand in hand with various other departments, such as planning, to ensure clients grab the most influential spots when it comes to their ads.
Great. So now that you know, yeah, sorry.
No, you're fine.
But I'll pass it back to Owen to talk about the recruitment now that you've learned a little bit more about our key discipline areas.
Yes, thank you so much, Vanessa. So first step is obviously applying on our careers page. We'll then review your resume, and if you're a good fit, one of the recruiters on the Future Talent team will reach out to you for initial phone screen. And then if that round goes well, the next interview will be a more detailed interview with a hiring manager on a potential team that you may be working with. Assuming all goes well, you'll receive next step information in the next few days after the second stage interview.
Good deal. Thanks for that. A few notes when applying. Make sure to check job titles because occasionally we'll have fresh graduates apply to associate director roles, which are very different from our other associate roles. Associate director is going to be a role that you might be a better fit for once you have 4 or 5 years in the industry, but I think for a lot of us on this call, the associate level is probably where we would like to be focusing our time on. And then lastly, be prepared. Research the agency and the client as you're talking to us, and do some LinkedIn stalking on us as well and our company. I'm sure our LinkedIn profiles will be in the chat. If not, we'll make sure to put them in the chat for any of you that want to connect with us on LinkedIn to discuss further. And then lastly, just to go off of that too, it's better to be prepared than caught lacking, especially in the case if an interviewer throws a question at you that you weren't expecting. Um, but that is going to wrap us up today for the presentation part of things. Want to give a special shout out to Vanessa and Oyen for taking time out of their day to meet with all of us. They stay very busy doing phone screenings and working across multiple roles and hiring managers. So just want to give them a special shout out for creating time for us today. But now we'll open it up to Q&A. So if you have any questions, I know there's some in the chat. Please feel free to ask, and we'll go from there. And if you would like to, we'll definitely open up the floor and can ask, in person or over voice instead of using the chat feature if you guys feel comfortable with that.
Awesome. Should we go ahead and answer the questions that are in the chat already, or do y'all feel comfortable asking? Okay, cool. So I think the first one I saw was, when does application start or end for our Launchpad associates? So the Launchpad role is constantly on our career webpage, so it's always open. As mentioned, we hire through cohorts. And with that being said, we have a cohort about every 2 months, every other month. Yeah, so we have a cohort for June. Our next cohort is in August, and we'll start recruiting for that. So if you are interested and are able to work a full-time role, please definitely apply. And the roles are on our webpage, on our career webpage to be specific.
Good deal. And then I noticed there was a question earlier I saw a couple times about HB1 sponsorship. For the Launchpad role. At this time, unfortunately, we don't have the ability to provide sponsorship, but would still love to talk more with you and go over certain things about Groupm, as our company is in many different countries all throughout the world. So, if at a later point in your career you would like to explore Groupm opportunities in a different country, that would certainly be on the table for you.
Definitely. How many associates are you typically hired? Usually for New York, about 50.
Yes. And then qualities we look for in candidates. I really think, when we're looking at the associate level, we're not a company that expects you to have, years of experience working inside of a marketing role. What we really want to look for is this person passionate about working in media and advertising? If you're just looking for a job just to have a job, we might not be the best fit for you, to be transparent. We really want to hire those who are looking to build a career in media and advertising.
I think that kind of answers the same question, because I think another question came up as far as like what makes an applicant stand out, and I think Kyle kind of tied that answer into that other one too. Are all associate positions through Launchpad, or are there other associate roles that are not Launchpad? Yes, there are other roles that are not Launchpad. So we did go over a few of our disciplines today, but we also have other disciplines like our financial service. They don't go through Launchpad, and we did not mention that discipline too. So, and we also have like I mentioned, different disciplines that were not mentioned. So yes, we have Launchpad roles, and then we also have just associate regular roles.
And then I think Oyen might have touched on this a little bit, but if you want to go into PR marketing, how does Launchpad prepare you for that? Well, specifically, if you're looking to go into a paid media role, you're going to be placed into that through Launchpad. As far as like PR roles, we're not a public relations company, so we might not be the best fit for you if you're looking to be in public relations. Not to say that skills that are needed in public relations wouldn't be beneficial to an associate here at Groupm, as a lot of times you're going to be client facing in meetings, talking with really big clients will be a big part of your job.
Yeah, but we do have, so Groupm is part of WPP. There are some PR agencies under WPP. So maybe going on the WPP website and seeing what PR related agencies are under WPP that you could apply to. That could be helpful too. Our Launchpad positions available across different offices in the US. So currently we hire for New York as our main office, but we also hire for Chicago and LA.
And then in terms of an actual project that you're going to work on inside of the Launchpad program, so going back to that fourth week, that is where you're going to be placed onto your client team. So at that point, you might find yourself, helping with campaign setup, whether that's, launching a campaign on Meta or that's launching a campaign on, Google as far as it relates to paid search. This is not a program where you're going to come in and sit on your hands to say you're going to be very hands-on. You're going to be playing a big part. We think the best way for you to learn this stuff is by actually doing it. So you'll have, very good hands-on experience working inside of these roles here at Groupm.
So, awesome. Do you guys look at creative portfolios slash website? I think when it comes to like creative portfolios, I tend to see that with like graphic designers. And we currently don't have associate roles that are open for that. But I've had candidates who they had experience as like working as an influencer. I've definitely checked them out and see, we definitely check your resume out to see if, the things that you say you've done. So if you do put your portfolio or website on there, I could say that for me, I definitely check it.
Yeah, then agree with Oyen. Definitely check it out. I think it shows that you have an interest in working in media and advertising, even if it might be more of a creative interest. We're more investment based. We still love to check it out. It shows that you have worked on your interest. Have noticed the Launchpad program application deadline. So with Launchpad, it's consistently rolling throughout the year. As I think we've mentioned previously, just about every other month or every 2 months, we're conducting a program. But for the August Launchpad, I would say make sure you have your application in by June the 7th. But, the earlier the better, I would say. We're starting up screenings right now for the Launchpad program. But I would say definitely try and make sure you have it in by June the 7th, so you're not having to worry about a potential deadline.
Yeah. Thanks for answering that, Ka. Somebody asked about applying to an analyst role on the analytics team. So the Future Talent team solely works with our associate roles. So our early career roles is the roles that we focus on. So that analyst role that you applied for, it's on another team. But yeah.
All right. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, I think that was it.
As far as OPT, us three, me, Owen, and Vanessa, we don't do a whole lot with immigration status or anything like that, but we do have our own immigration team here at Groupm who we could potentially put you in contact with to discuss more around OPT and other potential statuses as it relates to how Groupm handles that.
And then I saw some questions about the internship. So when will you start recruiting interns and do you go to universities? So that's a really great question. So we typically begin recruiting for interns when our application is about to open or is currently open. So throughout the next few months, there'll be these info sessions. I would say that we typically recruit interns 2 to 3 months before the application opens. So if we open up the application in February or January, I would say kind of that November, October would be a great time to connect and kind of share that interest. And do we go to universities? So we do go to universities. We partner with a couple universities. Either we go to them or they come to us for an office tour. We recently had a couple events with Villanova and Syracuse, and they've come to our office. So we are looking to go to more universities as, things have gotten a lot safer. So there was a pause for a minute there, but we are going back to campus recruiting. At least that's what we're trying to do for our future cohorts. And then I did see another question regarding our externship. So for the externship, what it is, it's a awareness program. So it's really for those who are new to the industry and really looking to see where they see themselves in the industry and get that knowledge through our speakers. So you'll get to learn about our key discipline areas that Kyle and Oyen highlighted today, and kind of learn about what that day-to-day looks like. How does Groupm differ from other agencies, and really get to know our agencies as a whole for those 10 weeks. So so that's why I say it's more of an awareness program. So you're aware of what careers and what key disciplines are available. And then with the internship, it's a much more hands-on, so you're actually working on a day-to-day with teams instead of kind of just job shadowing in a sense. So I hope that helps.
Vanessa, we had one more question about internships. Can you consider being hired for an internship even if you've already graduated?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So if you have already graduated, you are eligible for launchpad and no longer eligible for the internship, just because the internship really does focus on, undergraduates. But, if you feel that you would benefit from an internship, there are some exceptions, but I would say that if you are a graduate or you're ready for full-time employment, to just go to the application for Launchpad and don't delay it, because something that's great about Launchpad is that it does have that heavy focus on education within the industry. So there is that 10-week robust training experience. So you'll be very confident in your abilities by the end of those 10 weeks. So I would say apply to Launchpad and kind of get that ball rolling instead of waiting for the internship that occurs usually once a year. So that way you're not delaying your job search.
Good deal. And then noticed a question, going to go over real quick, and then we'll start calling on some people to ask their questions as well. But career opportunities for associates here at Groupm, this is definitely something that we take very seriously, but also want all of our associates to take seriously as well. When you come into the Launchpad program, you will have the title Associate Launchpad, and then once that 10 weeks is completed, your title will change from Associate Launchpad to Associate Paid Search, Associate Planning, Associate Paid Social, whatever that practice area it's going to be that you'll specialize in. But from there, you'll have the opportunity to work your way up to that senior associate position. From there, you'll be looking to become a manager, associate director, and director. So the opportunity for you to grow as you're coming in at the associate level is really endless, and that's something that we want all of our associates to keep in mind, because we don't want you to be at the associate level for long, and we're sure that you're probably want to be promoted as quick as possible. But we can open it up now to some questions. So I think, Grace, you had your hand raised first, so if we haven't answered your question in the chat, please feel free to ask it now.
Well, Grace, I think you might be muted. I'm not able to hear you.
Okay, let's see. We can't hear Grace. Let's see if we can call on Mandy to maybe see if it's out on our end, or if we potentially have a different problem.
Hello.
Grace said her question has been answered. Oh, sorry about that.
Okay. Good.
Yes. Hello. Yes, my name is Mandy Chan, and I attend Baruch College, Zigland School of Business at New York City. So I'm very excited to apply my skills in marketing and also learn more about advertising, as I was a mentee of IPG and I'm going to be their paid search intern in the summer. So I'm very interested in Groupm because of your passion in creating ads. that connect with audience and your wide variety of portfolio. So I do have a few questions. Um, with that being said, yes. So one of my question is, I'm graduating so I'm expecting to graduate in December, of this year. So when is the deadline to apply to Launchpad? With that being said, if I'm graduating in December.
Graduating in December.
Yes.
Perfect. So we have not like forecasted out our 2024 Launchpad start dates, but I
Okay.
would imagine it might be something similar to how we had it this year, where we started up recruitment and started with phone screenings before the Christmas, right before the holidays, and then continued with phone screenings right after the new year, and then we had a start date for Launchpad in early February. So I would say if you're looking to be a part of that Launchpad program, would likely
Okay.
be best to get your application in either right before the new year or right after, and one of our recruiters will be in touch to schedule a phone screening.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay, I'll definitely look for the application around New Year.
Hmm.
Yeah, and early February as well. Thank you for that. And I'm going to be in a paid search role, so I think it's going to be more analytics. And again, I'm very interested in Group M, and I really want to explore like creative roles. Besides media planning, what other roles in Group M do you recommend if I want to use my creative skills?
So I would probably call out digital investments as one that's similar to media planning, where you might be able to be a little bit more creative. Also being an assistant account executive, which isn't necessarily a part of Launchpad, but great role kind of if you see it advertised on the website or any of our career pages to look at.
Okay, perfect. And okay, and I'm sure other people have questions, so I'm just gonna end at this note. Like, how does your company support professional development and career growth for employees? Is Group M flexible in horizontal growth? So let's say if I got into, let's say a media planning, would you guys be open for growth in other roles as well?
Definitely. We have our own internal mobility team here at Groupm, which supports all of our employees, regardless of like what level it is, if they want to
Okay.
look at other positions within the company.
Okay.
So definitely strong support as far as it relates to internal mobility here at the company.
Perfect, perfect. Okay. So let's say if I have any questions in the future, how should I reach out to you all amazing HR recruiters? Would it be through LinkedIn or email? What would you recommend? Hmm.
I would recommend LinkedIn.
Okay,
And then
perfect.
when you apply as well, it sends
Mhm.
you a email of ours. So feel free to send us emails through our platform there as well.
Okay, perfect. I will be
Hmm.
connecting with all of you through LinkedIn. Thank you so much for answering all my questions.
Of course.
Thank you.
Perfect. And I think Nova, you were next.
Hi, thank you for taking the time to speak with us today. My name is Nova, and I originally applied for the June cohort of Launchpad last month, but
Mhm.
Oyen and I discovered that I think the August cohort would be a better fit. And I know earlier in this call you mentioned that the kind of review process for that was beginning around now, and I was just curious about like the timeline for the August cohort and like when you would hear back for possible next steps.
Yeah, so we actually haven't started the second stage interviews yet. I think we were looking to start that. We actually went over that earlier today. And that's looking like it's going to be earlier in June, so in a few weeks from now. But yeah, we'll definitely reach back out. And I think I spoke with you, so I'll definitely reach back out once those have started.
Okay, sounds perfect. Thank you.
Mhm.
Perfect. And then I think Gupta, you were next.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Mrigna, and thank you for taking the time to speak with us today. So, I'm a senior at Drexel University, and I'm graduating end of this term, which would be in June. And I'm very much interested in applying to different roles at Groupm because my majors are marketing, international business, and analytics, as well as I did a minor in consulting and writing. So, I think I would be like it'll be a really good fit of my experiences and my skills. So, what do you suggest I should be doing going further, since like I'm graduating in June?
I don't know if I understand the question specifically. When you say going further, what do you mean?
Sorry?
I don't think I understand your question. Do you mind clarifying it?
Yeah, so I'm graduating in June and I want to know which cohort I should be applying towards to get
Right.
a
So our
position.
June cohort has already been selected and they're going to start in a few
Okay.
weeks. So you would be applying to the August cohort to be specific.
Okay, thank you.
Of
And
course.
do you guys accept OPT?
That would be a question for our immigration team as far as it relates to OPT.
Mhm.
So happy to see if we can get you in touch with them to discuss, like certain requirements around OPT and more in their expertise on that.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing your insights about these questions. Thank you.
Of course. And then Garrett, think you were next.
Hey, can y'all hear me?
Yep, can hear
Hey,
Yes.
thank y'all so much for doing this, Kyle. It's great to see a fellow Alabamian in here as well.
you.
So one thing, y'all talked a lot about what you kind of look for in a candidate. What about certifications? So one thing I know our university pushed very hard was getting certifications. So I know personally, I'm have the advertising essential fundamental stuff marketing certifications through Twitter, Pinterest,
Mhm.
LinkedIn, a few others. What type of stuff like that do y'all recommend people doing if they plan on applying for the August cohort?
So
Well, that's a
I
good
really
question.
love seeing those certifications on like the bottom of resumes or on a person's LinkedIn profile. Yeah, I think in the world we kind of live in now, there can be potential barriers when it comes to like cost of like going through a training program or anything like that. But those
Hmm.
certifications that you mentioned, and also certifications out there with Google as it relates like Google Digital Garage, paid search certifications through Google. There's so
Hmm.
many of those great opportunities and great certifications out there that we can all take advantage of that come at no cost. So I would say the ones on Google as it relates to like search ads, anything like that are really great and impressive to us. I know there was a question earlier about like what kind of stands out in candidates, and we mentioned, when somebody is passionate about working in media and advertising, doing those certifications is a great way to kind of prove that to us.
Hmm.
So really love that you have those certifications, Garrett. And for anybody else out there who's serious about getting into media and advertising, I would really call out getting those certifications as they're completely free resources, and it also provides an opportunity for our hiring managers in their conversations and interviews with you to ask specifically about those certifications, maybe what led you to wanting to get that certifications, about maybe certain aspects of like what you learned while you were, gaining those certifications.
Hmm.
Awesome. Thank y'all so much.
Of course. And then I think Barath, you were next.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much for the session. I wanted to know that how the my performance will be measured in this position. Thank you.
I think that's a great question. So throughout the cohort and throughout the 10-week training program, there are assessments to make sure that, the training that you're going through, you're actually understanding it. So there's that aspect of it. But then after you're placed on the team, we have a platform where you would put in your goals for the year, 6 months, 9 months, and you and your manager are having one-on-ones and making sure that you're meeting those criterias that you've set for not only yourself, but also your development through the team or with the team rather. So it's kind of twofold to answer your question. There's the launchpad aspect of it, and then there's after you've been matched, what that looks like for the team.
Right.
Got it. Thank you.
And how you're measured might be different between paid search to media planning. So no really great way for us to answer that right now. But it's also a great question to ask in your final interview with a hiring manager.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think we've got a couple more questions. At least I see a couple hands raised. Mandy, did you have another question for us?
Yes, I do have a really quick question. Okay, yes, I'm very interested in applying for fall internships. I was wondering if Groupm has that.
Yeah, that's a great question. So right now we only offer internships in the summer, but we hope to expand that into either the spring, sometime in the future, but we haven't confirmed that yet. But that's definitely in the works for at least our internship pipeline. But right now, just for summers, but that's a great question.
Okay, and externships are probably available during the fall?
Yeah, so I would say check on our career page. That's the best way to know what semester our externship's going to start. So in the past, it's been either the spring or the summer. So those are two of the cohorts that we've had in the past, but that might change in the future. So I would say the career page is your best bet.
Thank you so much, Vanessa. Thank you.
And then I know we're coming up on time, but saw that you had a question, Alyssa. So if you have anything, feel free to ask. We'll stay around for an extra few minutes.
Thank you so much, Kyle. Are you able to hear me okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect. I am going to be putting in my application for the associate planning out of Los Angeles. I was just wondering if, and I had previously asked this question in the chat, but my audio kind of went out. I was hoping to potentially connect with a recruiter. I wanted to know if there was any advice anybody could give me regarding my application. Like, I guess just like generally.
Connect with me on the side for sure, specifically about that associate planning role out in LA, and would love to talk with you about that role for sure.
Okay, and you said on LinkedIn?
Yes, shoot me a message over there, and I'll respond as soon as we get finished up with this, and we can go further into that specific role out in LA. Do want to call out, sometimes we have these opportunities for specific roles that aren't a part of Launchpad. We do most of our hiring through Launchpad, but if you see a specific role on the website, that's not a part of Launchpad, there's still a chance we might be hiring for it as well.
Okay, thank you so much, Kyle. I will be sure to do that.
That's good. Perfect. And then, Gracie, your hand is raised.
Oh no, we can't hear you.
Yeah.
But
Grace, do you want to put the question in the chat? She says her mic isn't working, so I'm sure she wants to put her question in the chat.
And then
We're coming up on time, though.
This will be our last question. And if you have anything else, so don't hesitate to shoot us a message.
Mm-hmm. Okay, questions about company culture. I'll read it out loud for everybody, but As a larger company, how does Group M support positive company culture and what is a typical team dynamic? So I think that one thing that Group M does really well is encouraging everybody to, as far as like each team to have um, great when it comes to like developing that work-life balance or even just like a really good team dynamic. Like I mentioned, one thing we do here really well is that when it comes to positive company culture, we have things in the middle of the day, such as like yoga. I know that for people that are in New York, they can do it in person. I tend to do it virtually. That's a lot of fun. We also have employee resource groups, which are ways for our employees to network not just within the agency that they work with, but also with Group M. So each agency has their own specific employee resource groups, and then Group M has its own employee resources group too. So you can kind of develop networks through those resource groups. And as far as typical team dynamic, I really think it depends on the team because everybody is kind of individual and they bring something different to the team. So I think it definitely depends on the team that you're working with and also the practice area that you're in. So there really isn't a typical team dynamic.
So you want the contact information?
Just to add on to that, one thing that we've heard from our employees is that their supervisor has a lot of, they want to see them grow. They want to make sure that they're checking in with them on a weekly basis. So there's a lot of check-in points for career conversations with your supervisor to ensure that you're on track and meeting also the goals that you want to achieve. So I know when I started, something that my supervisor said was that there's a lot of ability for growth. So if there's a type of area that I see that I want to go in, kind of like be able to explore that and like, have those conversations and show that interest. So I think that can also be said for other supervisors. And it's definitely encouraged in leadership as well.
Definitely.
Perfect. Well, we thank you all for being here today. Hope this session was very informative, but also enjoyable for you all as, getting to learn more about Group M, and we're really appreciative of the time that y'all allowed us to spend with you today in talking about our company.
Awesome.
Hope everyone has a great rest of their day and a great holiday weekend.
Yes, thank you everyone. Bye.
Yes.